these particular buyers, they were a pain to work with during closing, but I had hoped that, once they moved in, and like we got paid, and
We should have asked them what yard signs they're gonna put in their yard. That should be a future.
I was hoping that, they had just fallen in love with the house and like appreciated it all and moved on. Right. And I actually, again, I don't necessarily know when it sold. I don't remember how long ago this was now, because we're in October. It might have been, it was hot, so it was maybe June or July, right? There was an error on the closing statement. So on the closing statement at title, they collected, so the title company collected property taxes from me and paid them, right? And then prorated the portion for them and put it on their side of the HUD. And the new owners got a tax bill saying that the taxes weren't paid. Instead of like picking up the phone and calling me nicely or calling the title company nicely or any form of like
Decent human being interaction.
rational, right?
Mhm.
Interaction.
Yeah, no, go 0 to 100.
She went straight to like DEFCON. I always do that. It's like DEFCON 1 is the worst one, right? Like DEFCON 5. Anyway, she goes to and she goes to,
Am I
like,
supposed to know?
I don't know. She goes to like warp speed of trying to everybody over.
We get the analogies.
And this has been dragging on for a couple weeks now, and I will not answer my phone. She's blocked, but her realtor gets involved and texts me, and I responded politely with, "We're dealing with it. Like, this isn't on your buyer, right? We have phone calls into the city. We have phone calls into Linebarger, who's they're the law firm that represents Texas property taxes." I said, we're dealing with it. Like, don't worry, we got it. We're on it, right? I think this lady called the title company, probably 100 times, and to the point where they're just like, "Tony, I don't know how to calm this lady down." And I was like, "Send her to voicemail." Like, it isn't your job to get screamed at, berated, right? Like, just send her to voicemail.
Mhm.
Like, we are dealing with it. I've notified everyone involved, from the city to Linebarger to, right? This is a process. Anyway, come to find out that there was a discrepancy with the person that I was dealing with at the city, at the historical tax department, and I had to deal with his underling because he was out on maternity leave. Anyway, I'm working on that still, so this is still happening. But in short, we stroked a check again post closing that I didn't have to write for a very large sum of money, and paid them. Even after that, this lady files a complaint to try to get my title attorney, who's also like my best friend, disbarred. And I just, the sense of entitlement, right, like, is so unacceptable, where
You're trying to go and ruin people's lives
over
nothing. There was no malicious. It wasn't even a mistake. There's people are working on it. Like,
yeah, it was a mistake, but it's being handled.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as if there was like a deadline of, we're taking your house tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like I've seen, hell, I've seen the state of Texas is so far behind on collecting taxes. I've seen people not pay their taxes for 20 years and not lose their house, you know?
Well, this woman isn't from Texas. So
she is, but she just is entitled. So
she is?
Yeah.
And she slapped a Beto O'Rourke sign out front of that house?
Yeah. So
she's just a lunatic.
She is. And it's just one of those things that, like, people have gone from being able to have a normal business conversation. It's business, right? There's nothing emotional about any of that. It was, hey, there was a discrepancy on the taxes, right? And we're going to solve it. Not a problem. Easy.
We just didn't want to deal with the lunatic.
I refuse to deal with the lunatic. Yeah. So down to the point where
she messaged me on Instagram. She's, "You're not good people."
Well, aside from that, down to the point where, you know, she's even got my attorney, like, I wouldn't answer the phone for her.
Yeah.
Like, because you cannot have there's no reasoning with crazy. Yeah. Right. It's just like, it's like trying to have a conversation with a drunk, right? There's just no point. They're not going to remember anything. So that was another thing that happened this week. And I'm like, yo, I'm the good guy. I always pay. I stroke the checks, you know, and hopefully good karma comes out of it. But that was another thing this week that just grinds my gears.